Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Guitar Souls podcast. This is episode number 144, and I am one of your hosts, Mr. Levi Clay, here as usual with my incredibly well-covered friend, I guess, today, Mr. Mike, the floating head, we'll call him, Mr. Mike McLaughlin. How's it going, bud?
I am not bad, man. I'm a bit cold. I'm a bit sleepy. I got my vaccine booster last week. I know you and I have been talking about the boosters, and we've spoke about the vaccine on and off and coronavirus on and off, considering it's affected everybody's fucking lives and almost half the stories we've covered. But I thought I better go and get it just for the sake of getting it, and it has fucked me the last couple of days. I had what I can only assume is esophagitis from what I googled, which is essentially where you're inflamed from like the stomach all the way up to the top of your throat. It felt like I had something stuck in here to start with, and then like it felt like everything, drinking water or eating food, was getting stuck all the way down.
Yikes.
Seems to have subsided a bit just now. I'm mostly just tired now, but I'm okay, thanks. How are you?
I still haven't had my booster. I don't know how I'm going to go about getting that because I'm still not registered with a GP. So
You don't need to be registered for a GP for it.
Okay, that is true. You don't need to be registered with a GP to get your thing, but I'll be completely honest with you. I have no interest in getting a booster for my own health reasons.
For everybody else?
I only have, or even anyone else's, because I don't go anywhere or do things very often, right?
Fuck everyone else.
Well, exactly. But I can still carry COVID as someone with a booster.
Of course.
The only reason I would want my booster and things like that is so I can have a vaccine passport, so I can go places. And you can't register, you can't get your vaccine passport unless you give your NHS or CHI number, and when you go to search for that, it wants to log it to your GP that you're registered with, and if you're not registered to that GP, you can't fucking do it. Like, you literally can't do it, and it's doing my head in.
Go and get fucking registered then.
I did. I'm like, Hayley registered me and her, and she's registered and I'm not, and it's like, how is this?
I tell you what, I'll hold your hand and we'll go to the doctor's office after this, okay? Like big boys, big strong boys.
But you know what? Therein lies that's why it's frustrating, because Melissa has phoned them, because obviously she needs to be registered as well, and they won't help.
No, they won't. I'll give you that. Yeah. Obviously, I had to change doctors. Was it a month ago when I was not well? Maybe more than that.
Right.
Remember when I was off work, I was pretty unwell. I had to change doctors at that point. I got removed from my last surgery because I had moved house. I agree with you. Even when you phone the reception, it's like you are causing them an issue by phoning. I'm like, motherfucker, I'm asking you to do your job.
Yeah. I know, like, it's for my health. Like, I'm not asking anything. I'm not asking you to like give me money out of your wallet, or
I'm not
like
for personal financial gain,
lick my asshole or anything. Like, I'm just like, I have health issues.
I fucking hope not.
I need help. Is that not supposed to be the beauty of having nationalised health services? Well, apparently it's a pretty lacking system. I guess I'm not in a position where I need it. Truly need it. But anyway, aside from that, busy week. I obviously launched the weekly guided practice sessions last week. Thank you so much, everybody, for all of your support on that. I think I had about 60 new patrons sign up, which is absolutely incredible. Which is kind of spurring me to do even more practice-related content.
It's fucking good content.
Yeah, it's really fun content, and it's causing me to practice more, think a lot more about things, and
create fantastic thumbnails.
Yeah. I get out of my way with that sort of thing. So if you haven't checked it out, please do check it out. But I'll be teasing you with more exciting things because I'm gonna. With that, I was hoping 10 people might sign up. So to have 60 people join means that I can turn it into something even bigger than I'd initially planned. So expect more than just a weekly guided practice routine. Trying to think if anything else interesting is going on. Gigging Saturday. Gigs are back. We'll see if it happens, but I don't see why it wouldn't happen. So gigs, that'll be fun. Hopefully I have my Strat back. If not, I will be using my Gibson Howard Roberts, because I'm having so much fun playing that, because I'm playing soul music, and those are the appropriate instruments, maybe the Telecaster, to play on soul music. I wish I could play other guitars, but I can't play other guitars for soul music. For example, these beautiful guitars behind me. Speaking of which, did you know? This show is brought to you by our friends over at Ormsby Guitars. We want to remind you guys that there is still time to get involved in the upcoming Run 16 guitars. Those include these incredible Hypes available in 5 new colours. That Dragon Burst is absolutely stunning. You can also get your hands on one of the Metal X's, again available in a range of finishes. My personal pick has to be these headless Vs. Absolutely outrageously cool. Imagine one of those in an 8-string. I absolutely love these. And finally, the Ando San signature model, available in 6, 7 and 8-string availability. Go and check them out at Ormsby's website right now. This show is also brought to you by our friends over at Rev Amplification, a one-stop shop for all of your tonal needs. Head on over to their website to check out their range of lunchbox amplifiers, both the D20 and G20, 20-watt amplifiers with built-in 2-notes torpedo technology so you can record direct into your computer. If that doesn't suit, you can also check out one of their highly popular G2, 3 and 4 pedals, giving you that trademark Rev tone in a stomp box. Incredible tones, I use these myself. And finally, you may notice in the back of these videos a Rev Generator 120, an absolute masterclass in modern electric guitar tones. Check it out at their site now. So as always, a huge thanks to our friends and family over at both Ormsby Guitars and Rev Amplification. I should probably do an updated ad read for those, because I don't think you can get involved on those runs of guitars anymore, but there are other things that you can check out.
Well, there's plenty. There's always stuff going on.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see the stuff. Obviously, I showed you the teasers for last week.
Yeah.
Can't wait for other people to see that stuff, man. It's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, lots of cool stuff coming there. And I saw Rev have found themselves in the awkward position of having to put their prices up a little bit, which they've been holding off on doing. But that's the inevitability of like anybody working in any sort of technology thing, right? Anytime you've got electrical components and things like that, it's just a bit of a pain in the ass right now.
It's a fucking nightmare for everybody. Anybody that needs to use any sort of chips at the moment is pretty much getting fucked.
Yeah. So I don't know. I guess buy now before their prices go up. That would be a smart way of doing things.
A bit of wise investment.
Right. So we've got what I think is going to be a relatively short show today, just purely because there's not all that much to talk about. I didn't really want to talk about COVID stories because they're boring, and I didn't really want to go back onto the Joe Rogan thing just because it's not. It was about Spotify, right? And it was about what we were really talking about. And
it's now became a bit of a personal crusade.
Yeah, and as I said last week, I'm not interested in defending Joe Rogan. It's not about defending Joe Rogan.
Or shitting on Joe Rogan.
Or shitting on Joe Rogan. Yeah, exactly. Or on, I should actually point this out, or on each other. So the comment section last week was wild. It was great fun, everyone getting involved.
It was civil, but it was getting heated. It
was civil to a point. Name calling happened a little bit, and I'm like, that's where we're crossing the line, boys. Yeah. And unfortunately, it wasn't coming from new people. It was coming from people that have been here a long time, making potential new people feel unwelcome. And there may be people that listen to our podcast that disagree with you on fundamental issues of life, but let's make them feel as welcome as possible, because everyone's welcome here. This is supposed to be something that we can bring each other together over, rather than being something that we're going to draw a line in the sand and fight each other over. We want the Guitar Souls community to be as welcoming as possible when you've got two assholes helming it.
Yes. So the basic rules for Monday Night Guitar Geek Club are you pick your handbag up when you join the chat and you leave it there when you go home and you log off. And that's it. You can handbag away when you're in that chat, but there's no personal issues. Everybody's going in the same mindset.
Yeah.
But aye, it'd be nice if we could keep it as civil as possible. Yeah. It wasn't too bad. I was moderating last week as well. I get you.
Yeah.
But it definitely could have got.
Yeah. It gives a distinct impression that actually it was dreadful. It wasn't actually that bad at all.
No.
But yeah, I hate the idea of people not feeling like they're not welcome to listen to the podcast or get involved, because interaction is what makes that Monday night so special.
Definitely. And I think we did have a couple of regular listeners who didn't really engage much because it's not their forte in terms of the actual topic. Which again is just going to be normal. That's cool. I'm glad we got some feedback that way as well.
Yeah.
It's not the normal topic that we would like to go down as well, because it can get a bit clickbaity.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we got a good conversation out of it, and that's what we're here for on a Monday.
New listeners, can't complain about that. Mm-hmm. The other reason, obviously, we're not going to talk about the Joe Rogan thing today, or the Spotify thing, is because despite pleading for some quotes, some actual Joe Rogan quotes.
None exist.
None sent us any. Nobody sent us any via our email, which of course is GsolesFanMail@gmail.com. We didn't get that. I need to let everybody know, or update everybody. I put up a post on Buy Me a Coffee 2 weeks ago, I think, saying that we'll be deleting the page. I'd been emailing back and forward with the CEO of Buy Me a Coffee, and the guy's head is just so unbelievably up his ass. like he's like, oh, it's actually been great for most of our content creators. They've actually seen growth in their pages now that we don't accept PayPal. He's like, hang on, you're telling me giving people fewer options means that they can now make more money? Like, how that doesn't? You're talking absolute nonsense, absolute fucking mince. There is no way that giving your customers fewer options is beneficial for them. I put up a post a couple of weeks ago, essentially just saying, because I didn't want to just delete the page out of nowhere, but at the same time, I didn't want to risk having the page up and people potentially signing up for it. And I put up a post saying, look, guys, so unbelievably sorry. Buy Me a Coffee has fucked us as much as they fucked you on this one. Unfortunately, we've got, I think, 3 people that subscribed for an entire year. They paid us for a year in advance, and I've the post essentially said, email me if you paid for a year in advance, please email me and I'll immediately refund you, because we obviously can't keep producing content for this platform. We're not gonna support this platform the way that they've treated us and the way they've treated many other people.
And on top of that, we've obviously been very conscious of not having paywalls per se, so we're not wanting to be that people are paying for things they're not getting anything extra for either.
Yeah,
I think that would be really unfair.
But as I say, plans are in the works. I mean, I've not told Mike what the plans are, but plans are in the works. I've just been busy with other stuff, so we will get that sorted. Don't worry. And as I say, if you did subscribe for a year, please do shoot me an email, and I'll get you refunded immediately, because I'm not keeping hold of you $50 if we can't deliver stuff for you.
He might be partly Scottish, but he's forgot about the part about being tight.
Yeah. On the other hand, I won't name who it was. For other members that subscribe month by month, one of you did email me and say, well, I subscribed for like 6 months. Can I get a refund, please? And it's like, but you subscribed for 6 months and you got 6 months of stuff.
All right.
Like you did the thing. It's not like you've paid for the future, which we won't be delivering on. That was quite funny. All in good spirits, of course. Anyway,
I like it.
Speaking of fans, let's head on over and read some fan mail.
Well, I've actually got a wee story to tell you, which we can do after the fan mail or before. It's up to you. It's a bit of a conversation topic, to be honest.
Okay.
So I kind of want to get everybody's opinion on this, not just yours. I think it'd be a good part of the chat. But how pernickety is too pernickety when you're buying second-hand gear? Right? So let me tell you a wee story. Mm-hmm. So, as of recent, I have been in ownership of a friend's beautiful Gibson acoustic guitar. It's an SJ200 standard 2019. It's immaculate. It's beautiful. It's in the vintage sunburst finish. So, it's like every part of it's what you want. It's the fucking whistles and bells. Beautiful LR bag system in it as well. Hidden in the sound hole. The guitar is just something else, man. Sounds great. Plays great. It's just the setup, obviously, of a Davey. So, she got it as a gift, and for personal reasons, she's just wanting to get rid of it, so I have it up for sale. Now, I've put it up on the sites for essentially what it goes for, what they have been going for on eBay.
Yep.
Thinking there would be some sort of negotiating deal or space, right? Which is only fair. You know what I mean? Yep. People that sell things on eBay have to take off the fees. If I'm listing it for the same as a private sale, then that's obviously negotiable.
Sure.
Bit of leeway. So anyway, I've had a couple of people. I'm really interested. Could you meet me here? Would you do this? Would you do that? Like, and I suppose the first thing that kind of gets my back up is, does it get anybody else's back up when someone will haggle with you on the price before they ask you any specifics about the guitar? For example, right, I'll offer 500 quid under what you're asking. Right, okay, if you're willing to actually just come and buy it and we're not fucking about, like, that's fine. Okay, I'll meet you this place. How thick is the neck?
Yeah, okay, I'll totally give you that. That's dumb. Yeah.
Is there any damage?
On a price?
Like, yeah. Are you fucking kidding? I'm asking you for the price that I'm asking is the top end of the second-hand market, because it is almost what I would consider player's condition. It's been taken out of the case a couple of times. It's got tiny wee marks to show for that.
Yep.
It's got a wee bit of aging, and then that's it.
Yep.
In my opinion. And I guess my opinion's going to be different for other people's, because obviously I've handled a lot of guitars in my day, and there's a lot of stuff that happens to guitars as they age, especially more expensive guitars, that can look like damage or look suspicious or seem like it's a bad QC thing. And can put people off. But I'm mostly used to this stuff. Anyway, what seemed to happen was I had one person in particular who told me that he had went to view a guitar that had been advertised as mint condition. When he got there, it had like a gouge in the top and like loads of real, not just aesthetic damage, but stuff that's lasting, breaking the lacquer and stuff.
Yeah, sure.
And he was like, I'm just starting fed up with people not advertising their stuff correctly. And I was like, well, okay, fair enough. Like if you want to come and you want to be totally particular about the guitar, I'll go over it just now and I'll send you a video and some photos of everything that I've seen on it.
Sure.
So scoured this guitar. Granted, with it being vintage Sunburst, it's quite hard to see little marks on it.
Sure.
And it's a high-end Gibson acoustic. It's got nitro, so the finish scratches no matter what you do.
Yeah.
Anyway, scoured the guitar. Nothing on the headstock. Nothing on the top of the headstock. No marks. No marks in the neck. The body has one or two, and I'm talking like faint pick marks into the clear coat, but not enough to have broken the lacquer.
Sure.
Right, so no, you can see it if you're looking for it, but no lasting damage. At the bottom of the guitar, where the top sits together, you know how they book match the top?
Sure.
Where it sits together, at the very bottom of the guitar, some of the lacquer's seeped in.
Sure.
Obviously, the wood changes shape.
Yep.
Inflates and constricts through humidity and stuff.
Yep.
But just look a wee ravine. Don't get me wrong, it doesn't look great when you start to see it in the light, but it's almost impossible to see if you're not looking for.
Sure. Sure.
And a couple of other wee daft marks. So, centre this off. The guy came to see the guitar, and he spent about 45 minutes like holding it up to the light to go over it. Which again, I'm not against. If you're going to,
I think you should be. I really do. I'm just going to interject and be like, if you're that guy, you're an asshole. You're just an asshole. If you want a new guitar, a new guitar, go and buy a new guitar.
Right.
You're buying a second-hand guitar. It's as simple as that. You're buying a second-hand guitar.
You've kind of got the later stages of how I was feeling.
Yeah.
But at the time, I was like, look, it's a lot of money to put out.
Yeah.
The personal reasons why he was buying the guitar, I can understand why he wanted to get the best he could for his money. I was not for fucking about. And again, I just want to sell this guitar for my pal. I want to help her. So the guy comes out, done his conversation. He had a look around the guitar, and I mean, like he was inspecting it. So he found a couple other wee marks that I hadn't noticed. Bear in mind, one of them was like 2 scratches on the back, just where the binding is.
Sure.
Probably could have buffed out, but it was quite obvious once you'd seen it. The rest of the scratches on the top of the guitar were literally just into the nitro. Yeah. A wee bit of teacup would have taken them off and got the guitar back to pretty much brand new.
Where did it go?
Well, the conversation continued. He asked, well, what are you looking for price-wise, blah, blah, blah. So I told him essentially what the price... He knew what the price asking was. And says, look, no fucking about. You want to take the guitar, and given your circumstances... Here's what essentially what my pal was asking for as a minimum, right? Here, there you go. I'm not going to fuck about. You want a guitar? There you go. It's a great example. It's probably the best condition you're going to get second hand. He seemed a bit unsure about that, so I was like, well, I'll tell you what. The guitar's just had a set up off of Davey. I'll take it back up to Davey and I'll go over the points that you're concerned about with him, just for your own peace of mind. Like, I can tell you, that's natural, they'll come out, blah, blah, blah. But if you're concerned about it, I'm happy to run up and just double check with him. Because then I get peace of mind as well.
You're being almost as panicky about this conversation now as he was being about the guitar.
Well, I may as well tell you all the details. So that's it. So he's like, but throughout the conversation, he was giving me all these like, I mean, for a guitar that's not in A1 condition and blah, blah, blah. And I was like,
fuck this guy.
No, he was being polite. I just get where he was coming from. But
doesn't matter how polite he's being. He's being an asshole. Fuck this guy.
But at the same time, I was
wasting your time.
Unintentionally, yes. So anyway,
no, it is intentionally. He decided to behave that way. He decided to do all of those things. He in his mind wanted to buy a brand new guitar for a second-hand price.
Yes,
he wanted to buy.
Very much so.
Yeah, and so he was wasting your time. And I've bought a lot of second-hand guitars. And you know what? I've never, ever, ever given a shit about the condition of the guitar. If I want a perfect condition guitar, I'll buy a new guitar.
Yes.
But you don't have that when you're buying a second-hand guitar. You just don't have that. And I think it's a huge problem, actually, among guitar owners, where they think that musical instruments are things that should be put in shrines. They're not. They are tools that get used for jobs, for work, for enjoyment, whatever way you look at it. They are tools, and they're going to pick up battle scars along the way. If you hate the idea of that, I totally understand that some people can't bear the thought of that. If you can't fathom the idea of having a guitar with a scratch on it, buy a new guitar.
We used to have a customer at Magnum Sound who would ask us to order him a brand new guitar if he liked the one on the wall, because he didn't want anyone else to have played it.
Yeah,
I get it. That's fair enough. Now, the circumstances of this guy, he wasn't buying the guitar for himself. It was a gift for somebody, and it was under pretty extreme circumstances. So I get that he was trying to get something that was like, wow factor, you know what I mean, and do the best that he could. But anyway, this conversation went on and on. He was like, if you can do this, I'm happy to agree at the price, as long as I can do a final inspection, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, right, okay, no bother, whatever. So I took it up to Davey. Davey and I had the same conversation. Essentially, that's to be expected. Guitars do that. Guitars age.
Yeah.
Guitars are made of wood. Wood changes through humidity.
Yeah.
Plastic doesn't. Binding doesn't. Nitrocellulose does, but at a much slower rate because it's basically plastic.
Sure.
Things will look a bit warped. That's how guitars look. Outside of that, this one is pretty much A1 condition. Like you won't. I don't think you would find a better condition SJ200 on the market second hand personally, because I know that this guitar has been bought a couple of years ago, played a couple of times out the case, and stayed in the case the rest of the time. So left it at that. He messaged me that night asking, "Oh, do you have any chance to go over these points and blah blah blah?" So I was like, "Yes, I've been and spoke to the guy. Here's what he said." And this morning I got a message just saying, given that the guitar's not in A1 condition and the concerns I've got about X and Y, I won't be able to meet the agreed price. And I just felt like saying, why didn't you just say that at the time?
Yeah.
Like, what you're after here, exactly as you said it, is like, you want this ultimate, perfect, untouched, immaculate example, but you want £1,300 off the price.
Yeah. You've actually made it a little bit clearer to me now. You got this message this morning. That's why you're talking about it in such detail, because you're annoyed by it. You're annoyed by what's happened.
I could have been more annoyed and I could have been more out of order. I actually just sent him a message saying, "Okay, good luck with the find."
Yeah.
And just left it at that.
Sure. I'm not,
because I don't want to be a dickhead about it.
No,
given the circumstances, I get where you're coming from, just being this guy's an asshole, he's wasting your time.
Yeah.
The circumstances are a bit. I don't want to put his details out in the air because it's nobody else's business. But the circumstances are a bit.
You can't even confirm whether or not these circumstances are legit. Like
I can't, but I mean, I would.
You take people at face value because you're a decent person.
I would be horrendously vexed to find that was a load of nonsense to get £500 off a guitar.
Yeah. But no, look, I don't care what the personal circumstances were. You're welcome to tell me after the show. I would be amazed if there was anything that made me go, "Oh, cool! I will sell this for less than it's worth." You know?
It wasn't so much that I was willing to sell it for less than it's worth, or I was expecting him to try and haggle me down. Like the price that we had come up on that day was pretty much where my friend who's selling the guitar was at. Yeah. In terms of, well, if I get this for it, I'll be happy.
Yeah. But it wasn't the number, and therefore, like,
well, that was the number. I managed the offer that person made was exactly what.
Oh, okay.
Like, so it was right on the cusp. That was fine.
Yeah.
His message back was essentially, "I can't pay that amount of money for the guitar." I was like, well, I've just taken £500 off the asking, and it's already £900 under what it is from the fucking shop. So,
and you've like, I'm not gonna point the fingers and say this is your fault, but at the same time, like, lessons need to be learned from this. For you when you're dealing with people like this, you need to be able to tell the signs of a time waster. And you know what? He might even potentially have bought the guitar, and it would be easy to hold on to a potential buyer like that for longer than you should, because they might actually buy the guitar. But the second you've agreed a price and then he's asking you to go and have things checked over, he's asking you to invest more time into a potential sale. And that's not reasonable. It'll be like, "No, I'm all right, mate. There are plenty of there is only one of this guitar, and there are plenty of potential buyers, and there's no reason for me to bend over backwards in order to potentially please somebody who might potentially buy the guitar. Like, what the fuck do you want from me? It's a second-hand guitar. It's in great condition. You either want it or you don't. There's no going away and thinking about it. Which is it? Do you want it or do you not? If the answer is no, thanks for your time. Fuck off out of my house."
To be honest,
life's too short, mate.
It is, right? Maybe I should have took what he was saying to me as more of a red flag.
Sure.
Because he was telling me he went to see that other guitar and it was a total waste of his time.
Yeah.
And he's like, and the guy's now realised it as good condition rather than it being like the immaculate they had it up for.
But I bet that guitar was what you and I would call immaculate condition.
Like, I don't know. I've never seen the guitar. I don't know if he went to view anything or not, but I should have taken that as, he's going to come here and try and pick this apart to try and get as much money as he can off it.
Yeah.
But I knew where I stood in terms of pricing and stuff. That wasn't going to change. Just because I was doing my usual soft sell, nice guy.
That's me just hoofing something at my Telecaster, right? That probably put a dent in that guitar.
You bit that guitar when I met you.
Who fucking cares? Like, who fucking cares?
But that's different.
No, to me, it's like it's the same. Like, whatever that put in the guitar, I'm still going to consider that guitar to be, well, good condition's probably a push now. But you know what I mean? Like, in my mind, like, nothing has changed. The type of guy that you were dealing with there is the sort of person that would look at a fingerprint on a guitar and go, well, you're going to need to have a professional remove that fingerprint because I'm really not interested in a guitar that's got fingerprints in it. Fuck that guy. Let's move on.
Fair enough. I guess we know where Levi stands on it. Where do you stand on it? I'd like to see what's happening in the chat here, because I don't know if the guy was just, to start off with, just being a bit too pernickety, or if I'd just, I don't know, let him just ramble on.
Mate, you worked in shops. You've worked in music shops.
I've done music
guitars,
retail,
right?
that's fine.
And you would have hated a customer like that, even if you were in retail.
I have always hated customers. Yeah. That's why I'm not in retail anymore.
But when you're in retail and you're dealing with a customer like that, you're still being paid to be there. It's still your job. Whereas in this scenario, this motherfucker is literally taking your personal time away from you.
I think what made it worse was it was the Thursday morning just after I got my Jag, and I had been spewing all morning. Sure. So he got there and I'm like, listen, just as a total warning before you come in my house, I'm going to put a mask on. I am COVID negative. I've just done a test.
Yeah.
But I'm not very well, so you want to keep your distance. And he's like, I've not been very well either. So like, cool, come on, we'll both die.
And actually, an additional thing, it just highlights like who you are as a person. You weren't even selling it for you; you were selling it for someone else. So you're investing more of your time into potentially helping someone out, and it's like that's so you, and also that's so fucking you, mate.
I'm only going to do it for the right people. It was just it kind of annoyed me that he messaged me out the blue. I'll even.
No, we're fucking moving on. Whatever you show me now is getting cut out of the fucking show. We've done 20 minutes on we haven't. We've done 15 minutes on this.
Oh, I'm sorry that I might want to talk about something that you haven't sanctioned, Levi. Come on.
It's more that I don't want a fucking hour and a half show.
We're pretty bad for just running away with it. Like, no, it's going to be a quick one today. 3 hours later.
We can also get the same in the chat now. Either people will say, I'm with Mike, shut up, Levi, let the man talk. Or they'll be saying, thanks, Levi, I've been screaming at the screen for the last 10 minutes. Shut up.
Outside of how long it takes me to tell a story, what do you think? Do you think the guy was a wanker, or was he just an overly informed, in his own mind, buyer?
Yeah, definitely not informed.
Yeah, Jeffrey, he didn't know anything about guitar, didn't play. Anyway,
Jeffrey's written in.
Yes, Jeffrey Tomita. Thank you very much, Jeffrey. We've got a show discussion topic as the headline. So, hello, gents. It's been a while since I've written in. We had some bad medical news regarding cancer in my family in the fall, and things have gotten progressively worse. I'm really sorry, mate. It's hard going. I've lost a few members in my family to cancer in the last few years, and it's pretty brutal sometimes. So I'm hoping things go well for you. Fingers crossed. My partner, my son, and I are in good health, but the news has been deflating to say the least. Your talk of boutique gear reminded me of my own experience with gear. My son recently noticed my acoustic guitar hanging on the wall and asked why I haven't been playing it. I pulled it off the wall and noodled around for a bit, trying to play some of the pop songs he's been listening to. The wee man then asked me to play the small guitar, my partner's ukulele, hanging next to my guitar. I picked it up and had to research the standard tuning for it, but found myself having a blast trying to play old songs I loved as a teen on this completely foreign-feeling instrument. As a total besides, I love playing the ukulele.
Ukulele's good fun. Yeah.
My dog has fleas. That's how you tune it.
I see.
There you go.
It's tuned to the top 4 strings of a guitar from the 5th fret. But the lowest string is an octave higher than you'd expect it to be.
My dog has fleas.
There you go.
There you
go. The reason I point that out is that ukulele is incredibly easy to pick up if you have a good knowledge of chords on guitar, because all the chord voicings on ukulele are functionally the same. You just need to be thinking of the top 4 strings of the guitar, not the power chords that you're used to playing from the bottom. And if your triad visualization is good, weekly guided practice routines.
The big man can teach you ukulele by accident. There you go.
You'll learn ukulele by accident if you do that sort of thing. So
it is really easy to pick up, and it's a great fun wee instrument. The next day, I ran out to the shop for a set of heavier strings to put in my guitar and open C major tuning to see if that would spark any joy of something new and get me back into playing for the first time in months. I had a reasonably good time, and my partner wanted to join in and play some songs together as I tried to navigate the new tuning. I found the string tension to be far too slack given the short scale of my guitar, and wonder if you've any advice for me as now I'm considering a baritone or 7-string acoustic guitar. I'm self-taught and came to guitar because my younger self thought guitar was infinitely cooler than playing piano that my parents pushed on me. As a tool to try just something new, would you advise 7 strings or a baritone? Figure that getting an acoustic will encourage me to play things other than that brutal chugs, and my goal is to accompany my partner on songs to fill in the low end the ukulele can't provide. And we also know that more low is more brutal. Fact. To keep us playing music as a sort of therapy. Yes, we're also seeing mental health professionals as well. Good. I'm glad to hear that, Jeffrey. That's really good. I think this ties back to the gear question raised previously, because I see gear as being something potentially inspiring. New pedals, new guitars, even new plectrums or strings change the way you play and may just squeeze an extra bit of creativity out of you. Can you share an experience with a piece of gear that really inspired you to vary your approach to your playing? Love from the States and fuck the Tories, Jeff.
So you could still always go for heavier strings, right? So he said shorter scale, but he didn't say how short a scale we're talking here.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't consider tuning down to C being particularly low for an acoustic guitar.
Mhm.
Certainly not. Tuning down to C is certainly not baritone territory, because baritones by nature come tuned to B.
Mm-hmm.
So they're already lower. So you'd essentially be getting a baritone and tuning it up.
Same if you went with a 7-string, because
Yeah.
they're tuned to B as well.
Yeah.
But that doesn't change unless you buy extended range.
Yeah.
The problems you're having with the shorter scale. And that's where I think you fell into your problems with your VGA, wasn't it, when you had the 7? That it just wasn't a long enough scale length to get the tension that you wanted.
Yeah, and in order to get the tension that I wanted, the strings had to be so thick that they didn't sound the way I needed them to.
Yeah, you
anymore.
lose a lot of high end and tone if you don't have the appropriate gauge of strings. It's a pain in the arse.
Yeah, there are a myriad of guitar players, acoustic guitar players that you're going to see tuning down to C on standard scale length guitars. Potentially a want to avoid saying it, but a good setup from a good professional can just do wonders for an instrument. Like you may find that it's a setup issue, especially if you're talking about it having been on the wall for
months.
Did you say years or months? It's been sat on the wall for a long period of time, and then you've changed string gauge on it, which will impact things like the neck. Having a good setup on it might change some of those things for you. Definitely wouldn't recommend a baritone or a 7-string for what your needs are there, unless you're wanting to, of course, tune lower.
It sounds as if it's not necessarily just open C that Jeffrey's looking for. I think he's looking for something that he can use to accompany his partner. So if you want to do a bit of exploration, the 7-string's not a bad idea. But as Levi says, if C is where you're kind of setting your doorstop, then
we'll get a hybrid guitar.
I mean, that's another option. Absolutely.
But back to the gear question he asked, which is, what was it? Can you share an experience of a piece of gear that really inspired you to vary your approach to your playing? For me, the answer to that would have probably been when I got my Dr. Z amp. I was going to say my Fender Bassman there, but putting myself in a position where my amp wasn't capable of overdrive.
You had to go full pedal platform?
It wasn't even that I went full pedal platform. I had to put myself in a position where, because I could have just continued using pedals, but as you know, like I play clean almost all the time now. In fact, both of the overdrive pedals on that board, if you look at them, the gain on them is completely off.
Yeah, it's just there's not a gain thing. It's extra signal.
It will give me a little bit of gain, but the tiniest amount, like it's virtually not there. And when I start turning it up and I start to hear a bit of drive, I'm like, that's not really what I'm going for here. So that really changed my approach, but it was more that it changed my ears, right? Because it put me in a setting that I wouldn't normally find myself in, a setting that I wouldn't be comfortable in. And that encouraged me to listen to more players that played like that, which in turn, my ear improved hearing things like that. Therefore, my mind improved, my ability to hear and understand those things and see how I might do those things on the fretboard. That was a big game changer for me. What about you?
Kind of similar when you're talking about like lesser gain. I think what kind of or something that has a profound effect on even tone chasing for me was getting my first Ormsby and moving from what I usually traditionally used would have been really high output pickups.
Sure.
Like a DiMarzio deactivator in the bridge, which is essentially an active, or something like that, to having the stock Ormsby pickups, the Delacreme and the Nunchucker, which are kind of mid-output. So really, in the same idea as you having a different amp, a different sound, and having to work with that, how I was used to EQing and setting gain levels and stuff on the amp just completely changed. So I had to adapt to I don't need screaming high output pickups to get the gain that I'm looking for. It's not compressing right away, so I'm not having to drive it super hard so that then it just brick walls. I can turn the gain down in the amp and turn the drive up on my pedal, and then I can EQ it better, so it actually has a bit more organic sound rather than it just being all gain and then a wee bit of bass through that just helps it cut.
Sure.
So I found that was quite an interesting journey for me, considering all the time before then I had like guitars with like a DiMarzio X2 and N in the bridge, something that's just more than you actually need, or EMGs, things like that. So
I think at its core we're probably in very different, like opposite ends of the spectrum there in terms of the answers that we've given, because I guess what I'm saying is be less worried about the gear
Mhm.
You know, when the gear put me in a situation where it encouraged me to not worry about what my gear was doing, but it spurred my creativity and forced me to learn to do new things
Mhm.
to suit the thing. Whereas what you're talking about is the gear itself really kind of changed the way that it was a big influencer in because I think it's widely accepted now that one of the best ways to get a lot of clarity in a metal tone is turn your fucking gain down. Like,
Aye, crunch channel with an overdrive, and
Yeah.
you generally won't go wrong. That
Yeah.
Jet City head that I got modded for Dan, that's just like I don't put the gain past like 3.5.
Sure.
A 50-watt valve head, the gain doesn't go past 3.5, and it still sounds like a fucking chainsaw. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, you can do that with good control. So thank you very much for that email.
Thanks, Jeffrey.
And as I say, I hope things pick up for you and your family. And yeah, right back in. Let us know how you're getting on with the acoustic. And I guess the other thing, actually, let us know the sort of artist that you're thinking about, the sort of artist that you're going for the sound of. Stuff like that is one of the first things I always ask students, like, who are we talking about sounding like here? Because if you don't have that in mind, if you have no reference points, it's really hard to know what to work on.
Aye.
Just like, I just want to be able to play music. Very fucking helpful, motherfucker. Like, what are we gonna do?
Like who?
Yeah. I don't know. I just like the idea of being able to play music.
Do you want to be Taylor Swift or Tchaikovsky?
Do you want to be in Guns N' Roses or Cannibal Corpse?
Cannibal Corpse.
Yeah.
Pat O'Brien did like to take a lot of meth. I think there'd be a lot more fun in that band.
Dean Loftus has written in.
Hello, Dean. Salutations. Looking forward to getting into Levi's weekly guided practice. I've also been inspired to take up piano, as I want to, and I'm now a dad. I think it's the first instrument being piano would give him good grounding for any other instrument they want to take up.
This is, I'm going to interject at this point, this is really interesting because if you think about what Jeffrey said with being forced to play piano, be very careful, Dean. Very careful with what you're going for here, because I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you that piano as a first instrument for a child is the best option for them.
Oh, it'd be fucking world breaking in terms of just getting your theory and your understanding of music up there.
Yeah, you think about playing the guitar, it's hard physically on the hands. It hurts the fingers, right? At no point in learning to play the piano does it hurt your fingers, yeah? So you can go to a kid and be like, look, just press this key down and it makes a sound. Like, it's a very quick and easy and visual way of getting someone
But Dad, I'm growing calluses on my sustainer pedal foot.
Yeah, so you're absolutely right, but be very careful that it's not something that you're forcing them into.
Yes.
And be very careful that if you do have them go down that route and they have a teacher, make sure that they're an inspiring teacher, not the old school fucking let's put on the metronome and play our scales shit. Make them love music. Anyway, carry on.
Yeah.
Does this make me a traitor to my guitar roots? Probably. Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't.
It makes you a
instrument.
traitor to your guitar roots, but it makes you
Better musician.
I think a more considerate parent. You're hoping to take what you've learned in your life and help shortcut that for your child. Like, let's help you avoid to make the mistakes that I made, or let's, I can't go back and do it all again, but if I could go back and do it all again, I probably would have started with piano. So let me try and instill that wisdom into my child. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Of course there isn't. And if you want your child to love piano and be a rock star, tell them to listen to Ben Folds. Can't really go wrong.
Well, Elton John.
Aye, okay, fair enough. I mean, not the same level of type of rock star, but I mean, you can't really argue.
Yeah.
That's fair enough. Anyway, there seems to be a flood of tutorials and courses, and I've reached analysis paralysis, and I don't want to waste my time and money. Any recommendations for an adult learner?
What am I going to say? Yeah.
You say it then.
Piano. Piano was the primary source for my spur into piano. I initially was using Playground Sessions. I did a full review of that on my YouTube channel. You can check that out. I didn't rate the service at all. I still think it's absolute garbage. And then
There's Levi telling the truth yet again. Can I help yourself?
Yeah. And then I tried piano. And let me be clear, that was as a paying member. I was a paying member of piano, and I did a review of piano, and I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. Since doing that review, Piano have reached out and we partnered up on stuff. So I work with them now on stuff, and I have an affiliate link for those guys. You can get a 30-day free trial, completely free. You don't have to pay them a penny, but I get paid for everybody that does free trial. So it's a great way to help the channel. So consider going and signing up at Pianote if you want to improve your love for music and piano playing. The link, of course, is pianote.com/Levi Clay. Pianote being piano, Piano, and then TE on the pianote.com/Levi Clay. Go and check it out. I'm still over on piano. I still use it, not as much as I was, because I think I've progressed quite quickly through those kind of piano is very much beginner and intermediate level lessons, I would say. I've moved on to a lot more upper level advanced stuff. Not that I'm advanced, not that I'm an advanced player, but in terms of my interests, they're a lot more niche. I do want to play basic pop stuff, but I also want to learn to play, like Bud Powell or Bill Evans, or I'm going down that jazz route, and actually jazz organ and things like that. So I've got other things that I'm doing, but those are much more advanced in terms of concept. So recommendations for an adult learner, absolutely piano, no question about it. Thank you very much for the email. I'm going to move on.
Yes, Dean, love it. Sorry, I got distracted there.
No worries.
I'm not trying to be an ignorant bastard, although I am.
Let's start out. Fender launches its own line of wedding rings made with the same materials used in its guitar. You gonna go for one of these?
I've already got one, thanks to you, prick.
That's an engagement ring, but
I'll fucking say thanks, smart arse.
Sooner or later you're going to need a wedding ring. Why
not
go for one of these?
Because I don't play Fender.
Fair point.
Probably the reason. And to be honest, I don't think I'm going to need another ring. You know how like women get an engagement and a wedding ring? Like I got an engagement ring which was already outside of the norm for most men. I don't imagine a lot of men are proposed to with a ring. So I'm sound with this. Fender, just in the last year and a half, expanded into turntables, Lego sets and hats. Fender never limited itself to merely applying its name to its electric guitars, acoustic guitars, guitar amps and accessories it creates.
That's being presented as though it's a good thing.
This is like the ultra shill. I was just thinking that. Still, even for a company with as broad a range of branded merch as Fender has, we have to admit that we certainly did not have Fender wedding ring collection on our 2022 bingo cards. Today, though, Fender announced its partner with the company Manley Bands, that's enough for there, isn't it? To create a new line of wedding rings made from the same material as the company's iconic guitars. These are actually very similar to what I've got.
Yeah.
The Manley Bands Fender collection.
I know.
I actually feel sorry for anybody that buys these, because imagine having to say, it's a Fender wedding ring. Oh, cool. Who manufactured it? Pardon? What? Manley Bands.
I love what you were saying, but also at the same time, like, I don't wear a wedding ring anymore, being divorced and all that. But if someone said that's a really cool ring, what is it? Because I had the like black, it was hammered, like a hammered steel look. I liked that ring. I didn't want to wear a traditional ring, obviously. I don't think the next question that came out of their mouth would be, who manufactured it?
No, of course, right. I get fair enough, right? But at the same time, I just think the company name's a bit.
All right, so tell us about these rings.
Cool. So the Manley Band's Fender collection is comprised of 6 rings in total: the Troubadour, Riff, Acoustic, 1954, Sonic, and Electric. Because yes, you should name the rings.
I'm just going to the Manley Band's website so I can bring them up for people. So I'll move this over here for you.
Fender are fucking right on that. That Gibson vibe with the silly money for things that aren't actually guitar.
Can I actually find the Fenders? There we go.
Oh fuck, you're getting 20% off already. There you go. Talk about how it must be worth the money.
So okay, tell us about these rings.
I will. So we have the Troubadour, which is made with ebony and Fender tweed and inlaid with a Fender guitar string in tribute to Fender guitar cases.
I have to say, if the inside of that ring is Fender tweed as it appears to be, that is going to be the most fucking uncomfortable thing you could ever wear.
Yeah, and it's going to wear really badly, and then somebody's going to end up with weird fibres on their fingers.
Yeah.
The Riff, which is made of black zirconium with a fretboard engraving in tribute to a fretboard. That will last all of 10 minutes. 10 minutes at best. I
spoiled it there by showing people the prices. I don't want to do that.
That's okay.
Did you see it? Did you see the price?
I've seen the price ranges already.
Oh, okay.
The Acoustic is made of rosewood and inlaid with 2 guitar strings in tribute to a guitar neck and bronze strings. Now that's quite nice. How well it would age, considering it's made of all wood.
Yeah.
I'm quite concerned.
Yeah.
The guitar string thing, that's the same as what's on my ring. There is a guitar string inlaid in the centre of this, round the titanium band.
Sure.
That ages pretty badly.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
No amount of fast fret will make this look nice.
Yeah, strings oxidize incredibly quickly.
Yeah, and even if it like they had decided to do it with coated strings,
whether or not you play the instrument impacts it in no way, shape, or form. Like Shock Horror, despite them sponsoring the podcast, I don't play my Ormsby Goliath all that much because it's a 7-string guitar. Right, it's my least played guitar, probably in the room.
As of recent, anyway, yeah,
for that reason,
you certainly had it as your number one for a bit.
Yeah, when I got it, I was playing it all the time, and because I was, I get excited by new things. So 7-string, let's play around with the 7-string thing. But in terms of things that I'm using as a work tool, it's not the most useful thing for Skype lessons and the like. So therefore, it just hangs there a lot. And you picked it up last week when you were over, and you're like, this really needs the strings changed on it.
Yeah,
and it's like. But the strings on that have been played considerably less than the strings on my Telecaster. But somehow they're in a worse condition. It's because they're just sat there oxidizing at all times.
You can say a worse condition. I think what you actually mean is you're so used to playing that Telecaster when it's in an unplayable condition that you're happy just to batter through.
That's a bad example, yeah.
But, I mean, if it works for you, it works for you.
Yeah.
It's still a great playing guitar, and it sounds great with the flattened strings for whatever reason. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, the Sonic. We'll do the 1954 because that's in the order here, which is the one on the far right at the bottom. A really gorgeous looking ring, to be fair to them. The 1954 is made with black zirconium and bird's eye maple and inlaid with a guitar string in tribute to the black player Stratocaster.
Yeah.
That's a bonny ring.
It's listed as authentic guitar string, but I'm not saying it isn't. But also at the same time, like, how does this? Is there on your ring? Is there a connection point?
There's a wee tiny solder point here where it's been connected.
Okay, it's soldered.
It's hard to see, but it's there.
No, that's fair. That's fair. That would make sense. Okay, keep going.
Mm-hmm. The Sonic is made with mahogany and inlaid with a guitar string and hand painted sleeve to mimic the ocean turquoise finished American Acoustasonic Jazzmaster.
Yep.
Very interesting choice of guitar to decide you want to commemorate, considering they are fugly.
Yeah.
Fugly.
Yeah. And then finally
we have the Electric, which is made with titanium and ebony and inlaid with a guitar string to mimic the Mercury finished American Professional 2 Telecaster Deluxe.
I think we're probably both in agreement. If we were to get one of those, it would be the 1954.
Yeah, if I was getting it for free.
Yeah, but unfortunately, the 1954 costs stab in the dark.
I've seen the price range between $495 and $895, so I'm going to guess $795.
$850.
Oh, I wasn't far off.
I'm just gonna say this real fucking slowly, okay? $850 for a handcrafted ring, okay? Made of part of a guitar string, and then what have we got? Is it bird's eye maple and ebony, maybe?
Tells you on the side, black zirconium, bronze acoustic guitar string inlay, and bird's eye maple.
Right. $850. You could buy a Fender guitar for that.
Of course you could, but you would probably spend the same money on something like this if you went to any other jewellers.
Yes.
The problem being, this is a celebratory ring. This is designed as meant to have holding or being part of a significant sentimental value or ornamental value in that regard, versus it just what you're paying for components.
Also, to be fair, if you were to be going to a jeweller's though, you would also pay for all that sentimental value and all the emotional attachment to that thing. But the thing that you would be purchasing would have its own intrinsic value because it's made from valuable materials.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This is made from 2 bits of wood and a guitar string. That's a fucking shocking price. Absolutely shocking price. So
I can imagine part of the markup being the name that's associated with it.
Yeah. Let's jump over to follow up on the Judas Priest story. The Rob Halford story of Rob says that the Judas Priest 4-piece lineup was his idea.
Oh, really?
So there we go.
I love Rob, man. He's so honest and forthcoming and just does not give a fuck. He just tells it how it is.
Yeah.
Many Judas Priest fans were aghast when the band announced they would be touring as a 4-piece last month. However, Andy Sneap has since returned to his role in the group, and Rob Halford said the condensed lineup was actually his idea.
What idea is that? It's not an idea.
Wait and we'll see. But there might be reason for it, right?
Yeah.
Priest were recently nominated for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame once again.
We'll come to in a second.
Okay, and Halford spoke with Billboard about the possibility of them finally getting in. During the chat, he explained that touring as a four-piece was his suggestion, though he realises now why they received such a negative response to it. That all came from me, it didn't come from the band, he disclosed. Of course that blew up in my face, didn't it? To have done something like a four-piece now would have been just not right, ridiculous, insane, crazy, off my rocker, have a cup of tea and relax. It's kind of water under the bridge now. I think my heart was in the right place, but I'm not the first musician to have a crazy idea.
He's not given any sort of reason why he would have done that.
No, he's not.
But
at least he's took the dairy.
I'm in this unfortunate position where these fucking Manly bands are going to be advertised to be in all possible...
tracking cookies.
That's really funny, actually, when you think about it, because this page was already open.
Mm-hmm.
This page was already open.
Mm-hmm.
Have the ads refreshed?
Probably. They probably refresh every 30 seconds, depending on what your actual fucking look is and what you're after.
So you're insane, Rob. If you ever thought that was a good idea, we knew that you were insane for thinking that was a good idea.
It's just a bit weird that they've decided to clickbait the title and then not actually put in that he said it, or maybe he could have said something about it.
Yeah, shock horror.
I know.
Clickbait. So just following on that Rock and Roll Hall of Fame list, I thought we could talk about the potential inductees, or the nominees as they are more accurately described.
Yes.
And see who we would give the tip of the hat to.
I mean, we can go and vote just now, actually, because you can fan vote as of now for February the 2nd to April the 29th. So Judas Priest and Rage Against the Machine are once again nominated for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and these are the other names on the 2022 list. Will we just jump into the list?
Yeah.
Sure. So the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame nominees for this year are Rage Against the Machine, Judas Priest, New York Dolls, Pat Benatar, MC5, I don't know MC5 are, Eminem, Beck, Kate Bush, Devo, Duran Duran, Eurythmics, Fela Kuti, Dolly Parton, Lionel Richie, Carly Simon, A Tribe Called Quest, and Dionne Warwick. A really strange list for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, innit?
Well, the concept of rock and roll, I think when I was going to say people like us, people like us talk about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We whinge because our favourite metal artists don't go into there, but rock and roll is a metal isn't rock and roll. It's
no, rock and roll is what Elvis stole for the black people.
It's a deep descendant of rock and roll. So rock and roll as a concept is broader than that. It's an attitude, not necessarily just a sound.
I get that.
So,
but A Tribe Called Quest, like they're not hip hop, like incredibly woke,
sure,
hip hop.
Eminem, but I fair play. Like I can see Eminem being a serious candidate for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
I don't want to shout on any of these people because like I know the majority of the names, and the ones that I don't know doesn't mean that they're not important.
Yeah,
I am no arbiter of anything in that regard.
Sure. I quite like Dolly Parton as a shout for this.
Aye.
Initially, I wanted to be like, well, Judas Priest, they've been going for a very fucking long time and an immensely influential band, and they are. So the idea of Eminem going in before Judas Priest, well, I can't get on board with that. The idea of Rage Against the Machine going in before Judas Priest, I can't get on board with that. The idea of Dolly Parton going in before Judas Priest, I can get on board with that.
Dolly Parton's always been rock and roll though. Even like when you watch like old interviews with her and stuff, she's just so heart in her sleeve, doesn't give a fuck, tells you how it is. Like, why do you dress like that? Because I want to. Like, I like it.
Yeah.
What's that going to do with anybody else?
Yeah.
Like, yes, hen. Yes.
Fantastically talented woman.
Also a very good heart. Very, very good heart. I think she's funded a lot of...
Done a lot of charity work.
And a lot of like, literacy programmes and stuff, hasn't she?
Yeah.
For schools and whatever else in her areas.
Incredibly talented songwriter. She's written some absolute classics, not just for herself, but for other people as well. So I would be happy to see Dolly Parton go in there, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Over, I think, just about anyone else.
Dolly can be the fourth guitar soul.
No. We have given honorary guitar soul status to a couple of people, 2 people now, I guess. Steve Lukather and Bumblefoot.
Oh, that's right. We did give Bumblefoot,
but I don't think Dolly Parton is a guitar soul. She's too nice.
She's got southern manners. Yes,
she would fucking hate us and everything that we stand for.
I don't know as much. I think she's very much broad viewed in the world, and maybe the way she would communicate her points would be different to us.
Fair,
but I think she would probably be on board with the Well, as long as you get your actual point across, then everything's cool.
Let's continue on with the story, though, because there is some interesting stuff in it.
Sure. As mentioned, 6 of the listed artists only became eligible in 2022, and they included Eminem, Beck, Duran, Dolly Parton, Lionel Richie, Carly Simon, and A Tribe Called Quest. In Eminem's case, this is also the first time he could legally be chosen as a potential inductee, since the criteria include having a discography that goes at least 25 years back. According to a press release by Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, to be eligible for nomination, an individual artist or band must have released its first commercial recording at least 25 years prior to the year of nomination. Factors such as an artist's musical influence on other artists, length and depth of career, and the body of work, innovation and superiority in style and technique are taken into consideration. Yeah. As much as there are a lot of people out there that I think are better rappers than Eminem, just since that was the example we're talking about there's probably not a lot that you can say have had as much...
he had a phenomenal influence.
Not just his influence, but his superiority of style.
Yeah.
Like, he's a guy who, regardless of whether you like what he's got to say or not, his ability to rhyme things and his ability to make up rhyming schemes, and he's...
Yeah, it's incredibly easy to go...
his rhythm,
rightfully so, like, because we talk about, and you've already said it today, Elvis stealing rock and roll from black people.
Yes.
Rock and roll couldn't become popular until there was a white man to sell it. And rap music couldn't cross over into mainstream. I don't think mainstream viability is the right word I'm looking for, but I'm just going to go with it just for the sake of
the media wouldn't portray it as actual music and more about thuggery until there was a white face for
until there was a white man doing it. And it would
Boys
be
in
easy
the Hood, etc.
Sure.
And then Eminem comes along, 8 Mile comes out, all of a sudden rap's cool.
Yeah, it would be so easy to say that that Elvis wasn't talented. He was a good-looking man and he was a good singer, but musically speaking, like, he didn't ever write anything or anything like that.
He could fucking dance.
Yeah, he could dance.
And he was in the army.
But point is, Eminem, I think, is very talented. I think he's
very talented.
He's got his head screwed on and he knows what he's doing. I think in terms of not in terms of cultural influence or cultural significance or anything like that, but if you were starting over in the music industry again and you had the ability to steal somebody's character, their identity, everything that they are, their brain, if you like, you would take Eminem over Elvis Presley any day of the week. Right. Elvis was right person, right time, got lucky, good looking, had a good voice,
and was a pedo.
Whereas Eminem, on the other hand, I just think an immensely more talented musical mind than Elvis.
Absolutely.
So yeah. I think the interesting thing about this is, as mentioned, 6 of the listed artists only became eligible in 2022, and they include Eminem, Beck, Duran, Dolly Parton. How on earth has Dolly Parton only suddenly just...
And Lionel Richie.
Yeah, Lionel Richie, totally. That's an interesting one. What possible criteria could Dolly not have met that she now suddenly met in 2022? That just a weird one. Very weird one.
Very strange. Because these people are household names outside of talking about them in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So how they wouldn't fit criteria? Yeah. Bewildering.
Let's just quickly mention Gibson Custom Shop unveils the new BB King Lucille Legacy, a tribute to the blues greats iconic custom ES355.
That game is due. That is a gorgeous looking guitar.
Yeah, I'm going to bring it up. I'm
the
going to turn
Lucille
the volume
Legacy
down and we'll just talk over it while it's happening.
So you need to look at this with your eyes squinted, otherwise we get a copyright claim. So pretend that you can't see this clearly. Right, just for everybody's sake.
Turn it down here, can't I?
Yeah, that'd be a good idea.
No one can hear it, but yeah. I hate seeing videos like this, actually, because you look at this and I think it reminds you that at its core, the Gibson Custom Shop is a good thing. Talented, builders who care about things. This isn't the vision that you have when you think of Gibson, right? Making their instruments. I think if an instrument is coming out of that Gibson Custom Shop like this, it should be, let's not say will be, but it should be immaculate.
Yeah, it should be something else.
Yeah. Unfortunately, this guitar will be priced in a way that you'll just, burst out laughing.
Before we even look at it, what do you think it's going to be priced at?
Oh, Christ. Even higher, actually, because it's a hollow body. So probably like $15,000.
Oh, that's even more than I was going to say.
I guess the other thing that I should take into consideration when I say that is how many of them are being made.
Well, that's what I was thinking there. I think there's going to be maybe between 100 and 500, and they're going to be 10, 12 grand.
If they're readily available, if there's as many as you're saying there, then I think pricing wise, you're probably right. Oh, Kirk Fletcher playing it. Then you'd be totally right. If they've limited it to 100 or less, it's easily 15 grand, probably 18 grand.
That could be.
For something like this.
Have you ever played one of those Morgan amps?
What? No, I haven't.
That's a Morgan, isn't it? The one that's got it's like a
Yeah.
lit up cutout badge. I've never played one, but I see them all the time and they look as if they're probably banging. But I get the impression that they're probably like Fender Cleans Plus and then a really good pedal platform.
Those are my favourites.
Oh, they're perfect for you, man, but not really for me, because I'm not really a pedal guy. Like, I take my pedal board out at gigs and it's literally a tuner and my overdrive and noise gate in the one pedal. Like, oh, this board is redundant.
I did have actually someone during the week message me, following on from conversation we had on the show last week, and said, "Have you ever played a Dumble?" Obviously, fucking not.
You say obviously.
Obviously not. I'm like, do you want to lend me one to have a bash on?
Mm-hmm.
All right, give us a quick rundown of the story.
The name Lucille has iconic meaning for blues fans and guitarists everywhere, making B.B. King's favourite guitar one of the few in music history to be recognised by its nickname alone. Now, the Gibson Custom Shop has unveiled the B.B. King Lucille Legacy, a refinished take on King's signature guitar. Interestingly, Gibson's Custom Shop's claiming the model is both a historically accurate recreation and that it features luxurious new appointments. Sounds like Gibson.
We won't read the story verbatim.
Nah, we
I'm
won't.
Just looking for details on how
They're
many-
essentially throwing everything in that we can that makes them claim that it's as close as possible to the original so they can justify what they're going to pay.
It's cheap.
Cheap.
Well, for a Gibson Custom Shop, it's cheap.
Cheap!
Okay, cheap based on both of our estimates of what it would be.
Aye, okay, right. We're so used to Gibson being like,
Yeah.
oh, you want a guitar? Give me your scalp.
Sure.
This is more just take the foreskin.
So there's no mention of it being limited run. Like it's just something that the custom shop makes.
It's just a 335 with Lucille on the headstock, nice split block inlays, gold hardware, one of those wee tunable stop tail bridges, and a nice flame
Oh,
maple
they have
top.
one of those bridges on it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And a nice flame maple top. That's don't get me wrong, as a 335, it's the kind of 335 that I would even buy.
Yeah.
Because I think you would get some really usable and lovely sounds out of it.
Priced $7,000.
Yeah.
$7,000.
And obviously it's available to order direct from Gibson.com.
Don't think I'd be interested in that. Let's move on to something that I'm a little bit more interested in. I had a Guthrie binge last night.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
What did you put on?
I
Erotic
sat in
Cakes
bed.
and just listen to the full album?
No. I was watching. I was just watching live clips from like Fellowship stuff.
Right.
Because I like my favorite place for Guthrie is in the Fellowship, and there's not as many great, recordings of those guys as I'd like there to be.
Mm-hmm. A lot of it's like handy cams and and like what feels like the Canby Club.
Yeah,
Innit?
absolutely.
I've seen a few of them with the backlights. You're like, that's definitely like a working man's club or something.
I listened to. I watched a great video. Oh, I say great video. It was a video.
I saw.
You didn't see. You didn't. I think the guy was pointing the camera at the floor. I'm not sure. You could see nothing, but you could hear. And they were playing Revelation, the Yellow Jackets tune. And it was just absolutely fucking glorious. And both Guthrie and Zach absolutely overplayed on the solo, as you would expect in that scenario. And it's just like, Jesus, that's some serious overplaying. I was like, you know what, you're absolutely right. But, I explained, I was like, Guthrie Govan is one of the most highly regarded guitar players that's ever lived, and rightfully so. He was in the contendership for our honorary Guitar Soul of the Year. And actually, after spending the night listening to him again, I kind of want to go back and give it to Guthrie because he's just out fucking outrageously good.
He's the kind of guy that can be thrown into any situation and will somehow still show everybody else up.
Yeah, it's truly terrifying how good he is.
Aye. And by all accounts, everything I've ever heard is he's just the nicest big guy. He's just into playing guitar and talking shit.
He's I don't know. I'm mildly socially awkward, but not in the same way Guthrie is. So I don't do well in social situations where I don't know people. The worst situation you could put me in is a social situation where I'm with somebody who is also bad in a social situation.
All right.
And Guthrie is having a conversation. Guthrie is like trying to have a conversation with a fucking alien. There's no malice or anything.
No, I get you.
He's such an oddball of a guy. And yeah. Anyone that has met him will know that, though. Very, very strange man.
I've never met him. I would love to, though.
He has a new Charvel guitar out. The guitar is nice, but of course, I think everybody is talking about this video for the same reason.
What, is it playing outrageous?
No, it's not even. I've not even listened to the video, to be completely honest with you. I'm sure you've seen some recent John Petrucci stuff, right?
As in, like, him playing the Archetype film or the archetype demo and stuff.
If we go for like, the play along for terminal velocity, right? So we've all seen this.
Is there some ones where he's standing like houses and stuff? I don't know if I've seen this one.
Ooh. Point is,
who was that in bass?
I don't know. Oh, is it Dave LaRue?
As Dave LaRue, I saw him with Satch years ago, and he was the only person I've ever seen play a bongo bass that I didn't think I wanted to punch instantly.
Point is, with John, John, it's a man thing, isn't it? It's very much a man thing. When you start to, you know exactly where I'm going with this. When you start to go grey, that's a hard thing to deal with, especially when you have dark hair, right? So John absolutely fucking dyeing his hair, right?
He dyes his hair and his beard's partially grey, and he kind of suits that.
That's I think the real kicker. His beard is partially grey, but then sometimes there's a photo shoot where it's the blackest thing you've ever seen.
Aye. And
it's like, oh, okay, it clearly bothers you that you're starting to go a bit grey.
Just for men, John Petrucci's signature model.
But of course, nobody's seen Guthrie. He, thanks to the pandemic, he's not been anywhere, so nobody's seen him. And over the course of the last 3 years, he has transformed as a man. All of the top comments on this video aren't talking about the guitar at all. They're all making Gandalf jokes about Guthrie being Guthrie the Grey now.
Guthrie's always been just like a guitar wizard, and part of that is wizard.
Yeah.
I think he's always looked that way. Like you know what he's like? You know the wise biker that everybody seems to know? The old guy that can fix anything on a motorbike.
Yeah. Oh.
Very similar.
He has gone completely grey, and I love that. I fucking love that. It would be so easy for that scenario to just be like, oh, I better start fucking dyeing my hair.
He's kind of Albert Lee's looking.
Yeah.
I think, but I don't think he's changed all that much recently. 'Cause I remember seeing him, the videos where he was playing with Hans Zimmer, and I think he was quite similar colours.
Not white.
No?
This isn't. I wouldn't even call this grey. This is white. He's like, just
Aye.
white. And I apologise, guys. I do appreciate this is a guitar podcast, and we're currently talking about someone having white hair. Like that's something to talk about. But it's. I think most people were surprised this video came, and they're like, "Wow, Guthrie's gone completely grey."
And he's just fucking lent into it, which is minted.
Yeah, absolutely. What an absolute fucking legend. What an absolute fucking hero. I love this man so dearly. He was an incredibly big influence on me as a player, because obviously I was lucky enough to live both in a time in history where this man existed, but also to live in proximity of this man, so I could go and see him play every week,
which is ridiculous.
And it was just an earth-shattering experience. Like every time that I would see him play, absolutely earth-shattering.
I would assume this is going to be way more reasonably priced then than the current signature.
It's made in Japan, I think.
It's a midge, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, all the best Charvels that I've ever played have been midge. Yeah. The first set of San Dimas guitars that came out were MIG.
It's a nice looking guitar. I'll totally give it that.
Very much so. I think Charvel are leaning very much into trying to dominate the Superstrat market. They're trying their best to come after Ibanez.
Yeah, I don't think, in my mind at least, I don't think they'll ever get there because their Superstrats are too Strat.
You know, being owned by Fender, they're going to always have that influence.
Yeah, but they never feel that they move far enough away from the actual Strat design.
Here's the thing though, right? See, if you took the neck away for that body and just looked at it, you'd be very easy. It'd be very easy to just assume that that's an Ibanez AZ.
Sure.
That's no disrespect to Charvel.
Sure.
But I don't think they're going to be top dog in that regard because they're kind of a step behind.
Yeah.
Although everybody's done Superstrats of every fucking variety you can think of. And I'm not saying that you have to have a completely different one for you to be the most valid or whatever.
Yeah.
It just feels as if they're kind of going, oh, the AZ series done pretty well. Maybe we'll lean into that.
Yeah.
No, in a shitty way.
I know what you mean. I do know what you mean.
There's been a lot of Charvels I've played that have been absolutely banging.
Yeah. He uses a fret wrap. He's a cheater. Fucking losers. So let's just briefly talk about the guitar.
See if that makes you like a cheater. Does that mean that muting the springs in the back of your trem cavity also makes you a cheater?
Absolutely.
So if you have string trees, then you're also a cheater.
Yeah.
Right, cool. If your nut isn't cut wide enough that the strings vibrate straight through it all the way up to the machine heads, you're a cheater.
I've always said the same thing time and time again. If you use an amplifier, you're a cheater. Real guitar players don't need amplifiers, so they just hit the string so loud that it fills the room with sound.
That's how Parton cannon works.
Real guitar players don't use frets. Frets are cheating. It's cheating. It's basically auto-tune for guitar.
That's fair. That's fair.
So priced at a great price, $2,799 US dollars.
Wait a minute, got the as a preeminent. The fuck does preeminent?
Preeminent.
What a strange choice of word, though.
Yeah, I feel that there should be a hyphen in there.
Yeah, because it just makes me think they tried to write prominent.
I
And
know.
fucked it.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I feel like I want to Google that.
I'm sure preeminent is a real word, but yeah, it definitely needs to be
a hyphen in there. There's a hyphen.
Surpassing all others. That's maybe a bit hard to put in there.
What as a description for Guthrie? I'd absolutely call him a preeminent modern virtuoso.
Oh, okay. Yep. I'm trying not to shit on anybody else by saying that Guthrie's up the top, but I mean the fact is
he just simply is. He simply is. And I get tired of it.
Him and Bumblefoot.
They're very different players. Bumblefoot is an incredibly gifted musician, but Guthrie is an extremely versatile gifted musician. You know, you can put him in all those settings and he just absolutely kills it. Whereas Bumblefoot does his thing, and Bumblefoot has I would probably argue, a more unique voice on the instrument. He sounds like him. But Guthrie is just, he's prolific, you know, and everything he puts out is worth checking out. We don't talk about Guthrie that much on the show because, to be honest, this is like a very like teenage boy thing, right? I just get tired of people gushing about someone. If they gush and gush and gush, it just, oh cool, I'm going to go and look for something new. You know, I had the Guthrie Govan signature. Sir, when it came out, I got the 13th one off the line. It was a beautiful guitar, but I had to sell it because people would constantly be like, "Oh, cool, you've got a Guthrie signature. You must be a great player." Like, and he's just heralded as the greatest guitar player of all time. And to be fair, he probably is. But I got to the point where I'm tired of fucking hearing it.
I don't think I would even say like it is fair to say he's like one of the greatest, but I think the big thing is the amount of people who've stolen his lines.
Yeah.
And
that's music, though, to be fair.
Of course it is, but I mean, I can't really think of a lot of other guitarists where you hear somebody else play it and you go, that was definitely a Guthrie line.
Yeah.
There's probably a few, right? But I don't know. It just stands out.
The thing for me is like, his playing is just so good. It is so good. I would say it's beyond comprehension for most people.
Yeah.
You know he's good. Like, you hear him, you're like, Jesus, he's good. But you haven't got the ear that's developed enough to really be able to tell me what's so good about it. So you just parrot what you hear from people. Oh, he's so good. He's the best. And what comes with that is he can do anything. And obviously that's just not the case. Like, I put up a Frank Gambale transcription, a lick of a Frank Gambale thing.
I seen it. That was the one you were asking, like, can anybody guess who this is? And
it's so obvious who it is because there's only one person that plays lines like that. There is only one person that plays lines like that.
Maestro Alex Gregory.
and you, like, Sean Lane gets lumped in the same category as Guthrie. Right? A couple of people like, well, it might be Sean Lane or it might be Guthrie because those guys could play literally anything. They'd eat this stuff for breakfast. And it's like, well, I'm sorry, with respect, no, they wouldn't. With respect, show me a clip of Guthrie doing anything that sounds like Frank Gambale. Show me a clip of Sean Lane even sweeping for a prolonged period of time. That wasn't part of his vocabulary. It wasn't how he played. But people put these players in like this pedestal where it's like they are untouchable. And sometimes they are. Like Guthrie, he's a fucking untouchable player, but not in a like, oh, he can literally do everything. You know, he can't play like Scotty Anderson.
But he could thrive in it just about any situation you put him in. That's different, isn't it?
Yeah. So
But saying that, if you say to him, oh, we're going to test you in your Scotty Anderson, you probably give him a week and he would come back and fucking nail it.
Yeah, probably.
He'd come back and play that full live DVD that they say to him just absolutely ripping it.
Yeah. I guess when I think about it, the reason I take issue with stuff like that is it puts you in this dangerous mental space where it's like you put someone like this on a pedestal. This is the person that needs praise, so everybody else doesn't really matter. Why bother listening to anyone else? Because this one person is enough. And
you're setting him as a standard.
And you see like comments on, I mention it, Martin Miller gets it all the time. Oh, you sound just like Guthrie. It sounds nothing like Guthrie. Nothing like Guthrie.
It really doesn't.
And you just see that time and time again. Oh, very, very Guthrie.
I think
why?
It's just
because they're playing a Sir, and it was 2015, and they're playing a Sir. So, oh yeah, you sound like Guthrie. Like, that's just not.
I think it's probably more so the fact that this is going to sound quite shitty, right? But a lot of guitarists, for my ears, stuck to, if they were fusion players, that was what they done, or minor major, easy to follow traditional melody if they were playing on other stuff. And then Erotic Cakes came out and Guthrie's shredding or everything, and people all of a sudden started to understand that, oh fuck, I don't really just need to stay in one place, and I don't need to play just by the rules.
Yeah.
And then everybody's seen that as, oh, that's Guthrie. Like,
Yeah.
no, that's just being a fucking musician.
Yeah.
And I was
hang on.
guilty as well, so I'm saying it like as much criticism myself.
Yeah. I you know, have learnt so much Mike Stern. I've learnt a lot more Mike Stern than I have Guthrie licks. A lot more Mike Stern.
Can you
than
play
I have
Upside
Guthrie
Down
licks. No. No. I know the tune, yeah. But great tune. Yeah.
It's absolute nonsense.
I think Mike is a much more prolific writer than Guthrie. I think as a composer, Mike shits all over Guthrie in terms of like standards that are going to stand the test of time.
I don't really know any other Mike Stern stuff, and that's
so many great tunes.
Is that not the Dave Brubeck band?
What?
The Upside Down side?
That's a Mike tune.
Is it? Oh, the version I've seen then, so Brubeck brothers playing on it then.
He's done. He's got so many tunes that are just absolutely fantastic. So much so, actually, I think if I go on my Spotify, I have I have a best of Mike Stern playlist with. Well, I've only got a few tunes on there, but
well, you know what? You can tell me those, and I'll go and give them a listen.
He writes really great tunes. Point is, like, I play a bunch of Stern licks when I'm doing things, and people are like, oh, nice, like you must listen to a lot of Guthrie. Motherfuckers, chromatic passing tones weren't invented in 2006 when Erotic Cakes came out.
Yes, they were.
That's not how that happened. Guthrie didn't invent fusion when he did Jam Track Central.
Yes, he did.
Fusion was a thing in the late 60s. Like, come on. Anyway, beautiful guitar. I do think it's a beautiful guitar. I think the price is great on it. I think if you're looking for a high-end modern rock guitar, this is a cool contender. I think it's cooler than the Rick Graham one. So.
I'd be very interested to see if they bring out like a dinky version, because he never seems to get that. Maybe that's much his choice as it is.
Yeah, he always wants
Charvel and Jackson's and Fender.
Yeah, he could have compromised, I'm sure. But let's move on to the main story.
Your favourite one. I'll let you start because I can tell that you are itching.
Schadenfreude of the week. Bum bum bum. Misha Mansour, you absolute fucking fanny. You absolute clown. We made fun of you on the podcast. I even had those shirts made, the Pro Piracy shirts.
I still wear mine.
Because you stole somebody else's intellectual property, someone else's trademark, and you sold it for 3 days over a weekend, never to be reprinted, to the point where, sold just long enough that you wouldn't be able to get a cease and desist. You made money off of that, and you would not acknowledge that selling someone else's trademarks, making money off of things that someone else has created, a brand that someone else has created, is a shitty thing to do. In fact, when I parodied what you had done by making that shirt that I could have sold, there were so many people that wanted to buy that shirt. We probably could have sold 50 of those shirts and made a tidy profit.
That would have been nice.
When I posted a picture of that shirt, me wearing that shirt, Misha commented on it and said, thanks for the promo, right? That's what he said. Thanks for the promo. And yet, Periphery posted on Facebook and Misha shared it. Periphery, it's come to our attention that there are certain websites offering Periphery NFTs for auction. We want to make it clear Periphery has not listed any NFTs, and we have not given anyone else the license to do so.
That's not true. Bulb and Mark both sold NFTs before.
Sure.
However,
they said Periphery more specifically.
Yeah, so let's continue.
These sites are straight up breaking the law, and we urge you to not support them in any way. We thought it was important that you have this information before anyone considers a possible bid on any Periphery NFTs. We greatly appreciate your understanding, and we thank you for your support as always. Oh no! Do you not like it when people steal your stuff and sell it? Oh, and it's funny because for being the smug prick that he is, that was happy to post on my post and say thanks for the promo. He was awful fucking quiet when I went back to that post and started tagging him in it and posting the screenshot and asking for his thoughts on this. Absolute fucking silence.
Shocking.
The most active man on social media that's always happy to get into a scrap with people if people are making fun of him, didn't have any comment on this when his massive hypocrisy was pointed out to him. And I just hope that more people saw it, right? Someone said, you have to understand, Levi, though, that two wrongs don't make a right. And obviously, I'm not saying that this bad thing happened to a bad person, therefore it's okay. It's not okay. That's the whole point. That's the whole thing of being logically consistent with things, right? That's the whole thing with being a free speech absolutist. When you're a free speech absolutist, you have to defend the rights of speech for people that you disagree with, as well as the people that you agree with.
Yes.
When you're logically consistent when it comes to morals and the law, you have to defend the rights of people that you disagree with as much as you people that you do agree with.
Mm-hmm.
So in this scenario, what's happened here is absolutely wrong. This shouldn't have happened to Periphery. This shouldn't have happened to Misha.
However,
It's funny that it did, though.
Misha propagated the likelihood of it happening by willingly allowing his band and himself to infringe someone else's trademark and basically make it as if that's a non-issue for them.
Yeah, he didn't propagate it because it was every artist on Spotify that this happened.
Oh no,
to.
but you know what I mean. Like, I mean, propagating the idea that people can use other people's copyrighted items and get away with it.
Yeah.
You put your sauce on, it's yin and yang.
Yeah, they're just promoting you, man. They're just promoting you. Obviously, I don't agree with that. That's not a position I hold. They're not just promoting you. They are trying to make money off of your hard work. You created the Periphery brand. You created the value around that brand. Anyone that would pay money for something that has that Periphery brand associated with it will do so because of your hard work. Someone doesn't have the right to steal that and sell it. You don't have the right to take the PlayStation logo and put it on a shirt. It's as simple as that. You don't have that right. And you're just a slimy motherfucker who I have no respect for because you have no integrity. The only thing that matters to this man is fucking money. However he can get his next watch or his next fucking Ferrari, fuck this guy right in the bin. Fuck his fans, throw every single one of them in the bin too because they're all spineless shitbags. Because when this was posted, and it was only 5 months ago that the other thing happened, like his fans aren't new.
No.
You know, they saw this thing, him doing this, but when this posted, the amount of people that were in the comments being in support, oh, this is absolutely terrible that this has happened to you guys. It's outrageous that people would do things like it. It's like you were the people that were defending him when he did it before. Your argument when he did it before was, why are you defending $1 billion company? You know, does it really matter that Periphery, a tiny little band, have stolen some value from a company worth billions? Well, I see where you're coming from, but in this scenario, does it matter that a website that is worth absolutely nothing stole something from a band worth millions? These aren't arguments. You should be logically consistent and be able to go, if this is bad, then what Periphery did before was bad.
Mm-hmm.
You can't pick and choose. It's one or the other. One or the other. Let's do the actual story.
Pericks.
Perickery.
Perickery. The Recording Industry Association of America, the RIAA, sent a demand letter yesterday, which is the 4th of February, so a couple of days ago, to the attorney representing Hitpiece. Hitpiece is the website that was selling these NFTs. The RIAA demands the site stop infringing on musicians' intellectual property rights. The website, which is now offline, had been selling music-related NFTs. Since its creation, several artists have spoken up about their work being used without their permission. The RIAA is asking for the site to provide a list of all NFTs in that work that's been auctioned off, as well as a list of site activities. I get the impression this has probably been set up by someone who has just had like a bot that's just ripped all the information it can off of websites, assigned random images and logos or whatever. I probably just totally sucked all the metadata off and then went, here's a listing.
Yep.
So the demand letter was written by RIAA Senior Vice President Jared Friedman. It explains, your client's operations have been variously described in recent days as a scam, a complete sham, immoral, unethical, and a fraud. I mean, that's pretty much NFTs in general.
Yeah.
It'd be nice if it actually meant ownership rights to art, but really what it means is you are paying thousands and thousands of dollars for an image that somebody can right-click and save. All of these criticisms are, of course, accurate, although it appears that your clients now contend they did not actually include any sound recordings with their NFTs, which, if true, likely amounts to yet another form of fraud. It's undeniable that, to sell their NFTs, your clients used the names and images of the record companies recording artists, along with copyrighted album art and other protected images, the rights to which belong to the record companies and their artists. Your client's outright theft of these valuable intellectual property rights is as outrageous as it is brazen. RIAA Chief Legal Officer Ken Dorishaw called the site little more than a scam operation. He accused the site of capitalising off of fans' love for music and their desire to connect more closely with artists to fail to obtain necessary rights. Fans are being led to believe they were purchasing an NFT genuinely associated with an artist and their work when that was not at all the case, he says. While their operators appear to have taken the main Hitpiece site offline for now, this move was necessary to ensure a fair accounting for the harm Hitpiece and its operators have already done, and to ensure that this site or copycats don't simply resume their scams under another name. If you think there is any way that you are going to stop people fraudulently selling NFTs, then you are off your nut.
And what you should take from this is don't buy NFTs. Like,
but everybody's been saying it for the fucking start. It's the same. I'm not saying specifically that cryptocurrency is a scam, but the majority of cryptocurrencies that are coming out are all exit scams. They are, give us all this money, look at the value. Somebody takes all the value and goes, oh, they're not worth anything now.
Yep.
And that's it.
Yep.
NFTs are much the same.
Yep.
You and I'm going to make an 8-bit drawing of my cock and balls, right? You're going to be the owner. You're going to sell it to me for 20 grand. I'm going to sell it back to you to 200 grand, and then we're going to sell it for 2 million.
I'm game for that. That suits me. I've also just expressed issue with things like Bitcoin in general, because while I know people that have made a lot of money on it, you have to ask yourself why Bitcoin is valuable. Why is Bitcoin valuable? And it's an, in theory, untraceable currency, right? It's prime for illegal activities. Scammers want paid in cryptocurrency. Why? Because it's not traceable.
It's the easiest way to wash money. It's the easiest way to launder money. As are NFTs, by the way. Just a wee heads up.
Yeah. So I'm not saying that all cryptocurrency is unethical. I'm definitely not saying that.
I agree.
But at its core, the promotion of cryptocurrency helps to facilitate unethical activities. And I think that that's not a good thing. So,
I mean, you could probably make the same argument about most banks.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So, really, you're just picking who is the vendor of your poison.
Yeah, well, that is true. That is true.
But, no, I get your point. I totally get your point.
I guess it's, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But if it is broke, don't fix it with the same brokenness.
If it ain't broke, don't try and replace it with just as bad systems.
Exactly.
Yes, fair enough.
And I guess, actually, it's probably worth mentioning that our good pal Rob Chapman also put NFTs up for sale this week, and then got horrendous backlash from it and had to take them down and issue an apology.
Good.
And even acknowledged in his apology that I didn't do my research before selling the NFTs. I didn't realise how harmful they are to the environment, etc., etc. How you would have missed that based on the amount of song and dance and noise that people have made about that over the last fucking 6 months.
You probably avoided it because he was going, and how much money will I make?
That's exactly it. Like,
that's why
you're
people
not
are
supposed to admit that, Rob. You're not supposed to say I didn't do my research, because what you're saying there is I didn't do my research. All I saw was a way that I could make more money.
But that's, and no disrespect to people that are getting into it in that regard, but that is the majority of people who are getting involved in NFTs or in Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies. People are seeing that other people have made a profit. Those other people made a profit out of sheer luck, market volatility, and potential insider trading, but that's another story completely. But they want everybody to ride the hype train, because as soon as you start buying in, then there's more value. Yeah. The coins are more scarce, they're more sought after, then they've got a higher value. They don't exist. There's nothing to value. The Great British Pound is now the same way since we don't have any gold. Thanks, Gordon Brown. But that's besides the point.
We haven't operated with currency that's valued based on gold. We've had fiat currency. The entire world has had fiat currency for a very long time now. But it's been backed by gold.
Yeah, but Great Britain did have a nice gold reserve that was helpful in keeping the value in the Great British Pound, given it was one of the most valuable currencies on earth. And then Gordon Brown went, "Hey, go away!" Moron.
So I did enjoy seeing Rob scramble. I do find it interesting that Steve Vai still has NFTs for sale. Steve Vai, the vegan. Steve Vai, the eco warrior. Steve Vai, the person that's always talking about the planet and spirituality and it just doesn't matter though, does it? All the planet can go to hell if there's an opportunity for me to make some fucking money.
As long as £35,000 worth of graphics cards in a fucking metal shelf in somebody's warehouse in fucking Bangladesh or something is running complex fucking mathematical shite.
Mark my words, I don't care how widespread NFTs become, or how standard place they are. You will never see me, or us, actually, I'll speak on behalf of us because I'd have to agree to it. You'll never see any Levi Clay or Guitar Souls branded NFTs not because of environmental reasons or anything like that, but because I don't want to do anything that might make me more like Steve Vai or Rob Chapman.
I'm glad you haven't been on Hit Piece, because I definitely had those up as NFTs.
Actually, there's a fair chance that I would have been on Hit Piece if they were just scraping data from Spotify. So I
didn't check Party Cannon because I don't actually give that much of a fuck. I think if people are stupid enough to buy Party Cannon NFTs and from clearly unofficial links, then
unless actually the only way you'll see me selling NFTs is if I can sell periphery ones. Just to really stick the knife into Misha. When this story was initially sent to me, I wasn't aware of the website that was doing it. I thought it was just an individual doing it. So actually, when I was trying to bait Misha and annoy him, I implied that it was me that was selling them. So anytime I was like, I didn't say I'm selling, but I kept putting someone in.
Have you got like a personal goal of getting like one cease and desist a month or something?
It's really annoying, Misha, isn't it, when someone is going to make a fucking killing off of your hard work? Then I realised it was a big website, so he was never going to fall for that. But still, someone was making a bunch of money off their hard work. So
that'll probably be the owner of Hit Piece.
I am not happy that this happened, because things like this shouldn't happen. Intellectual property should be protected, copyrights, trademarks, all of that good stuff. But I am extremely happy that Misha sweated a little bit. And I just wish, we know it's not the case, but I just wish that for a second he could see his own cognitive dissonance. He saw, maybe took a step back and went, actually, I don't like the way this made me feel. Maybe I shouldn't have done similar things to this because that made someone else feel the way that I feel. But of course, he's too much of a douchebag chasing his next fucking sports car to notice any of those things. He's just going to work out what he can sell to you fucking clowns next in order to buy his next thing that he doesn't need. Fuck this man into the sea.
I realise that we've took a dramatic turn in our tone regarding Misha Manso, and I just want to point it out. I think it's mental how quickly a bad interaction with him turned us from potentially heralding him as the smartest businessman that we're aware of in the music industry for some time, to just being like, oh, you're just a wanker though.
Well, he made lots and lots of smart business decisions, and I respected all the smart business decisions that he made. And then the second he made something that was an immoral business decision, I had to point that out. And nothing will piss me off more than someone doing something immoral, especially someone that I kind of admire in terms of decisions that they make. They do something immoral and they double down on it. He did it, and Colin Moriarty from Sacred Symbols, the PlayStation podcast, did it as well. And I loved Colin more than Misha. But when these motherfuckers double down on doing shit like this, I will take my support away from you so unbelievably quick, and I'll spend the rest of my life pointing out to people that you are a fucking scumbag.
What happened with Colin Moriarty?
That is just controlled by the almighty fucking dollar. He had all of his fans create fan artwork for PlayStation titles, PlayStation games, when the PlayStation Vita was ceased production, and then he printed all of it. He paid the fans for their artwork, and then he printed them on T-shirts and sold them to T-shirts. And I'm like, you can't do that. And he's like, why? I'm paying my people. I'm paying people for the artwork. Like, what's the problem? And I'm like, you don't own the characters. You can't do that. Like, I can't. It's telling that you're doing it with PlayStation brands. Do it with Mario, and see how quickly Nintendo jump on you.
Yes.
If you make your own Mario drawings and put them on T-shirts, you will be slapped with a cease and desist so unbelievably quickly. And he's like, but the community really appreciate these T-shirts. And it's like, I'm sure they fucking do, and I'm sure they're buying them, and you're making lots of fucking money off them. But it doesn't mean that you have the right to do that. And I've always held you in the highest regard because you have consistently insisted that your T-shirts will only ever be made in the US because you support US manufacturers. And you take issue with people taking the PlayStation, like you did it. Fairness to you, you gave away the artwork to the Sacred Symbols podcast. And you said, if you want to use this on things, like, feel free, just don't sell it. You don't have the right to sell my designs because it's my intellectual property. And then here you are selling other people's intellectual property. People's integrity goes out the window like this when there's a chance for them to make some fucking green. And it makes me want to die. How disgusting people's morals are for money.
Did you know? No, it's not like that, sadly.
Speaking of which, we don't get any money from Ormsby or Rev.
To be fair, though, we've been lucky enough to get product from them, which has been fantastic. But no, we don't.
I would like to think
we've actually knocked back quite a lot of sponsors that have been offering money because they've just not been related or relevant at all to the podcast.
I think we'd absolutely take sponsorships of things that weren't relevant, but we make it very clear that like this is an ad read. This is us just doing an ad read. This isn't something we endorse. This is an ad read.
Yeah.
I'm happy to endorse the Ormsby stuff, but you know what? Like at the same time, if Perry did something like this, if Perry started selling Ormsby guitars with IP on it that he didn't own, I'd absolutely be like, well, fuck these guys.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think you have to if you're going to be morally consistent with things. Like I like Perry and the guys at Ormsby, and I like the guys over at Rev. They do good things. They do good work, and therefore I'm happy to fucking work with them. If they did shitty things, I wouldn't be happy to work with them. So yeah, I won't be working with like Fender anytime soon if they came and approached me. Like, fuck them. Gibson, fuck them. Good things, good people. Speaking of good people, did you know? This show is brought to you by our friends over at Ormsby Guitars. We want to remind you guys that there is still time to get involved in the upcoming Run 16 guitars. Those include these incredible hypes available in 5 new colours. That Dragon Burst is absolutely stunning. You can also get your hands on one of the Metal X's, again available in a range of finishes. My personal pick has to be these headless Vs, absolutely outrageously cool. Imagine one of those in an 8-string. I absolutely love these. And finally, the Ando San signature model, available in 6, 7 and 8-string availability. Go and check them out at Ormsby's website right now. This show is also brought to you by our friends over at Rev Amplification, a one-stop shop for all of your tonal needs. Head on over to their website to check out their range of lunchbox amplifiers, both the D20 and G20, 20-watt amplifiers with built-in 2-notes torpedo technology so you can record direct into your computer. If that doesn't suit, you can also check out one of their highly popular G2, 3 and 4 pedals, giving you that trademark Rev tone in a stomp box. Incredible tones, I use these myself. And finally, you may notice in the back of these videos a Rev Generator 120, an absolute masterclass in modern electric guitar tones. Check it out at their site now. So as always, a huge thanks to our friends and family over at both Ormsby Guitars and Rev Amplification. Please do go and check those guys out. Check us out on Teespring, I guess, is currently the only place that you can support us. Send us fan mail, GsolesFanMail@gmail.com. For the one of you out there that asked about piano, piano.com/Levi Clay. You can find links to that on any one of my piano videos. I was going to say on all my videos. I don't have it on all my videos, only piano related videos. Go and check out my weekly guided practice routines, all of that good stuff. Go and check out the new Party Cannon album.
For your sins.
I'll see what Mike's schedule's like over the coming weeks, and we'll organise a listening party for that, which can just go up for everyone to enjoy. We don't need to paywall that. Yeah, so I think that's a good thing. Anything you want to add?
I think I said it last week. I have been trying to gear myself up for the potential of trying to play through it with the album and just see how many mistakes I can make, because I know it's going to be
the whole thing was a mistake from start to finish.
Yeah, fair. But maybe no. We'll wait and see. But listening party would be good fun. A couple of people have actually reached out and said their pieces on the album. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Any feedback's welcome. That's whether it's I really like this or Jesus Christ, that fucking made my ears bleed. Because I put Party Cannon on for the wee man, and within about 3 seconds he went, I don't like that. Like, all right, Finlay. Off.
puts the music on and turns around to Nancy and is like, can we get a new man in the house? Can we get rid of him and get a real man? Because I don't know.
My new stepdaddy?
Yeah, I don't know what's wrong with this stepdaddy, but
he broken.
There's something fundamentally wrong with this man.
It's true.
There is. Mike, until next time.
Bye, fuckers.